Hey, Currituck Beach Lighthouse lovers. Today is the beginning of hurricane season 2020, and it's a beautiful, cool day here. Not great for sitting on the beach. Would be great for climbing the Currituck Beach Lighthouse, but we are closed through Safer at Home phase 2 of reopening here in North Carolina. I've been outside of the lighthouse much of the day talking to people, but I thought I'd come in and talk to you for a bit. You're in my office right now. Originally a storehouse, built finished built 1876, taken off the property in the 1960s, and then returned to the property in the early 1990s through the work of the Outer Banks conservationists. Today we'll talk about the winter work we did and how one thing led to one more unexpected thing each time. I did a blog about our winter work that's available on our website, but I can fit more photos here, and I thought you'd like that. Our plan for the winter was to replace some wood rot and then have the International Chimney Corporation, well now ICC, come work on the cornice of our lighthouse roof and the ironwork of the 2 lower belt courses on the tower. We started in December on the front porch of the Little Keeper's house, and while replacing some of those deck boards, we found underneath some wooden siding that had been used in the 1980s renovation of the Keeper's house, and we actually needed that for some wood replacement on the Keeper's house. That littler Keeper's house, and I may have mentioned this, I tell a lot of stories about this place, so if I've told you all this, I'm sorry, but that littler Keeper's house was built in 1881 at the Long Point Island light station that was there. And then when that was decommissioned in the 19-teens, it was moved here in 1920. So that allowed our 3 keepers to each have his own dwelling, right? 2 in the duplex and 1 in that new keeper's house. It had been the keeper's house on Long Point Island. They also had a duplex for their assistants, but that was moved elsewhere. Once we had replaced the porch of what we called the Little Keeper's house, we moved over to the southwest porch of the Keeper's house, where we replaced the wood on the floor of that porch, some of the girders, because once we pulled up some of that rotten wood, we saw the girders were rotten, and some of the wood on the supporting post there. Once we had actually already started ordering the wood for that, we realized that that original wood was laid in a 2.5 next to a 3-inch, next to a 2.5-inch pieces, which I think you'll agree is a wonderful look. But we had to postpone that project a little bit to get the right wood in. Any wood that we replaced on this flooring, we used tongue and groove salt-treated pine for. We replaced a beauty band under the kitchen window on the north side, so the assistant keeper's apostrophe side, but also 4 windowsills with old growth quarter sawn Douglas fir. And funny enough, once we started on one of those sills, we realized that the double frame for those windows needed to be entirely replaced. So that's when we found weights from the original sash cord system that we didn't know was there, because that frame was intact in the 1980s major renovation work we did on that house. We also knew we had to replace a beauty band on the back porch of the Little Keeper's house, but then in replacing it, we learned that a long girder there that supports that porch was rotten, and that actually had to get replaced with 2 shorter pieces because we couldn't actually find a piece that was long as that original girder. And then, of course, surprise, we did not open in March and had to postpone that contract work that we had started on the lighthouse. So instead, we took on something that our keeper loves to do, which is paint. And now we're in the midst of repainting the exterior of the keeper's house. And it's a big one. Scraping and fixing wood and glazing windows and knocking down wasps' nests, and then repainting, and then soon enough getting all the shutters up, 12 of which are beautiful and brand new. I hope you enjoyed these renovation stories and pictures. We'll take on tree removal post-Hurricane Dorian on the Currituck Beach Lighthouse site, which is a doozy of its own, in a separate video, and then we'll move on in the video after that to the work being done on the lighthouse. Thanks.